welcome to the Yvonne McComb Show. Today I have the awesome, the lovely Miss Demetreanna. Yay! How are you, my dear?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you, thank you. I'm so excited about today and what we're going to be talking about. Okay, so today God gave me the scripture Habakkuk 2 and 2, which says, Then the Lord answered me, write the vision, make it plain on tablets, so he may run who reads it. So, when you think about all that God's opened for you, like you being self-employed, you having your nonprofit, obviously there had to be a vision somewhere to be written. Take me to that place when these ideas, you were just in the brainstorming stage, and then you're actually like now seeing them come to pass.
Um, it all started back when I was in graduate school. I was studying like health, and I went in because before I was pre-med. I was like, okay, I want to help people. I love science, but that didn't work out. So after praying and reflecting, the Lord brought to my remembrance about a professor that talked about public health, and so after that, I decided to apply for graduate school. And when I was taking one of my classes, my professor was like, you know, you guys can, talk about programs and how effective they are, but you can do it on any topic you want. And for some reason, I was like, I'm interested in sexual health. So as I started digging deep for a project, I just started to be like, man, we need to be teaching our youth. We need to be empowering parents. Like I was just reflecting on my own experience as a young person in sexual health education. And I don't know, like during one time I was having lunch in between classes, the Lord was really placing on my heart to start a nonprofit doing sexual health education, pretty much, talking about how he wants me to do is really empower this next generation of believers to pretty much have a better understanding of their sexual health so that they can be the example, so the world can look to us, not be like, oh, we them as the virgins that hate sex, but more as they are walking out their purpose. They have a healthy perspective on how they view themselves as a sexual being, while at the same time being good stewards of their body, all kinds of different things. And it was a lot, and I was like, okay, that I don't know what to do with that, but I guess I'll find out more later. I don't know. I was just trying to finish school. So, but ever since then, I've always had been doing projects on sexual health and just have an understanding of how these programs work. And so that was kind of where it started. And then a few years later, that was when the Lord placed on my heart to become self-employed and focus on my nonprofit so I can have that flexibility in time. Because if I was going to do a 9 to 5, then I would pretty much only be able to do stuff on the weekends. But God was like, no, like this is going to be, what you're called to do in this space. And so being self-employed means that I would have the flexibility to do that. Been through a lot of ups and downs in terms of what that looks like for me. Started a business, then COVID happened, and I was like, okay, I don't know what to do now. And then that was when Lord brought to my remembrance again, like, hey, you put that nonprofit on the back burner, start, really getting back into it. And so ever since April, I have been doing, more research on how to get that started. And then back in August was when I just announced to my friends on Instagram that I'm starting, the nonprofit and doing different kinds of things. So, I was always kind of like just writing down different thoughts that God placed on my heart throughout this time, but it's just, there were times where I was just so focused on, making sure that I could pay my bills and all that. I was like, the nonprofit can wait. I need to get a job, need to do this and that. So my paradigm in terms of like my calling has definitely had a shift since then. And I have a whole lot more peace. It doesn't mean it's easy, but I definitely have a whole lot more peace knowing that the vision that God gave me years ago, it's starting to come into fruition. I've seen doors open in that aspect. So yeah, so that's kind of how I see it.
And that's awesome. I love how you say you feel that peace, because that's a peace that the world cannot give. Of course, Jesus Christ can only give that peace. And then to know that you are walking out what he gave you, like, that's awesome. That says something about you as well, because to be able to hear your Lord tell you, like, hey, Demetreanna, I want you to start this nonprofit. Can we talk? You need to help these children, help the youth, help the teenagers, help the parents, the guardians. And I love how you said earlier, with being a virgin and appreciating your body, because sex is not bad. Our bodies are not bad. It's not to be seen as shameful, but it's how God designed us to be. And I absolutely love your nonprofit. And even the name is Can We Talk? Like, can't we talk? Can we sit down and have an open discussion, an open dialogue about our natural state of being? So let me know this. Now, since this is your topic of discussion with sexual education, do you feel a lot of pushback from believers? Do you get that?
Um, as of in terms of my nonprofit, not as much. I've been getting some good positive feedback about that. But in general, like, to be honest, I don't really talk about it a whole lot. There are times where I have more candid conversations with a few friends that I believe they may not always agree, but we can have a good discussion about it. But um, honestly, I haven't really had the. I mean, I'm starting to get more into my boldness, I guess, in terms of having these discussions through my videos. But in terms of one-on-one conversations, it's kind of hard. I do talk to my mom though, and there have been times where she has had different perspectives, and she has told me that her mind has been open to different things and different perspectives around this. Because she's told me about how she grew up and how she would have never thought of approaching, like, learning about her body, like, before she was married. There's just different things that
Mhm.
she was like, she got married, and there's that she's just starting to understand in her 50s. And so I have had conversations like that with her, but honestly, sometimes it's scary because I'm like, I'm not very confrontational. So if someone like comes at me with, like, they can disagree with me, but if they come at me in a very, inflammatory way, I'm just like, okay, I don't feel like arguing or anything like
Mhm.
that. But in terms of pushback, I can't really say I've gotten a lot because I don't really talk about it very much. But I feel like now that I'm really walking in my purpose in this field, I'm definitely expecting some pushback, not just from believers, but also unbelievers, because for me, I I don't want to be someone that affirms different lifestyles that aren't according to the word, like in terms of sexual orientation and in terms of gender identity. Like, I do understand that people are going through their journeys, and we need to have grace as they explore, and as the Holy Spirit is speaking through them to them through us when we talk in love, but also speaking truth in love. So I really am expecting kind of pushback from both believers and unbelievers, because I'm not in one hand saying, oh, live your truth. This is who you are. God created you this way. But at the
Mhm.
same time, I'm not saying, oh, you're transgender, you're going to hell. You're gay, you're going to
Mhm.
hell. Like, I'm not saying that either. So I feel like I'm going to get pushback from both. So that's something I'm expecting now that I'm being more open about this in a public platform.
Absolutely. And then you're having a platform and open space here to talk about it, so people, honestly, it's gonna rub some people the wrong way. Some people are gonna be like, yes, that's awesome. Some people are gonna be like, oh my gosh. Like, but I mean, God gives gifts to everyone. Now, with your nonprofit, Can We Talk? Why? Well, I know God gave it to you, but did you think that you would have to provide helpful tips and tools for parents or guardians? to help talk to their children?
Um, Honestly, I was expecting to be a sexual health educator youth, because I like all the studying I was doing in graduate school was around sex ed in schools and how their curriculum was and how effective it was or wasn't, and talking about how, you know, sexual health, comprehensive sex ed schools has been shown to have um, more positive outcomes, even for those that decide to wait longer to have sex. So for me, I was like, okay, I think I may end up being a sexual health educator for youth, like whether it's working for the county and going to schools and things like that. I thought I would do that like as a career, and then maybe have a nonprofit on the side, and then being like, okay, maybe youth can come and we can have some candid conversations, because I know a lot of times, I mean, all of us a lot of times feel, unseen and unheard, but I know a lot of times youth feel that way as well, especially. But yeah, so I thought that was what it was going to be. But then, I don't know, like just over time, I felt that the Lord was really kind of impressing on my heart that, you know, parents are the ones that need, at least in my, other people may disagree, but in my opinion, I really think that parents and guardians, that the whole village, they should be the ones that should be the primary sexual health educators. And that's something that I kind of grew to believe over time, because to me, like, because like something I learned in my trainings, like I took a certification training in sexual health with the California Department of Public Health, and in there they were saying that schools, they don't teach values, like they're just giving information and
Mm-hmm.
letting kids know, hey, there are these resources, but there isn't anything about values and like, okay, like teaching values and beliefs around being, good stewards of bodies. And so that's why I was like, man, parents need to be empowered, family members need to be empowered, because they're the support system of these youth. And it's not to say that there could be, teachers and school administrators that could be helpful, but it's essentially families that are going to be instilling the values that are going to be the foundation of how this next generation is going to walk out their sexual health journey. And so as I was like taking that training, I was like, man, parents, like they need, to be empowered. They need to know that it's okay to talk to your kids about their bodies at age 6 and all these different things. And so it was at that point I was like, you know what, that was when it started to kind of pivot more towards empowering parents and family members on how to talk to their kids and the kids in their lives about their sexual health with confidence, while at the same time also incorporating their values and beliefs, so that way their kids
Mm-hmm.
can make informed decisions, while at the same time also knowing what values stand on top of those that information.
And I love that. I really think it's going to challenge that generation where sex and sexual education and sexual health was more of a hush hush. The generation where we don't tell, everything is a secret. This uncle, this auntie has been molested by him and her and him. That's going to rock some people's boat. However, I love how you said about that next generation, where they're going to be very well equipped because of your organization. They're going to be very confident. And then also they're going to be very, what is the word I want to use? Like, they're going to be proud because they know the truth. And really, the truth sets them free. Like, they're not held in this bondage and shame because of their sexual identity. Not even just sexual identity, but just how they identify as a woman or a young lady or a male or a young man. So I love that, and I love what you're doing. Now, a question that I do have for you is, well, first let me read your mission statement. Just to reiterate, is to empower parents and guardians and extended family members to be sexual health educators for their kids' lives. I love, 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 love that, because God gives us kids. He gives parents kids. He gives guardians, foster youth, are people that are parents that have to adopt. He entrusts us with these kids' lives. Why would we not want to be their educators? So, in saying all of that, what is something that drives you to? You said you started in April to really get this started because God reminded you, like, hey, you have your nonprofit, and then you put it out there in August. What drives you to continue to press forward making this happen?
Man, I mean, I guess what drives me is kind of seeing what is displayed in the media, and just knowing that, you know, if 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 parents and guardians and family members don't talk to their kids, or at least don't feel motivated to, out of whether that's out of embarrassment or whatever other kind of reason, because I understand it can be awkward, but for me it's like, but if they don't learn it from us, they're going to learn or gather information from YouTube, from TikTok, from their favorite influencers on Instagram, from their favorite musicians, from movies. And it's becoming a lot more of a hedonistic society where it's like, okay, do what you want. If you feel this, do this. If you want to be with multiple people, be with multiple people. If you want to, you know, have multiple partners, if you want to start having sex at 13, hey, it's your body. Like, it's, and another thing too is, like, in the state of California, um, kids as young as 12, they're actually legally able to get reproductive health services without their parents' consent.
They
They
are.
could go get, you know, whether it's a pap smear, getting STD testing, all these things. And it's teaching our kids today that they can pretty much do whatever they want and not have to talk to their parents. And I understand that there are definitely youth that are from abusive families, and and sometimes it's difficult for them to talk to their parents about things. Well, not necessarily like explicitly abusive, like physical, but sometimes they may feel not heard, they may feel neglected. And so, of course, there may be times where they feel like they need to go outside of that. But I think that our society is just teaching our kids that they, you know, have all of the capabilities to make these decisions that have long-term consequences, more than just spiritual consequences, but just like emotional consequences. And just being like, hey, if you aren't doing this, if you aren't being sexually liberated, then, you know, there's something wrong with you. That means that you're ashamed of yourself, when in actuality, some people are just like, no, I just want to take care of myself. I am thinking about my future, and I don't want to partake in different things at a young age. And so the messages that our kids are getting today, like, I'm just like, that's what motivates me. Is like,
Mm-hmm.
man, I'm also even thinking about some of my friends who are starting to have kids that are maybe like 1 year old, or they're pregnant. And I'm just like, this next generation that's just being born this year, or is going to be born next year, like, what are they going to be receiving? Like, are they going to be receiving the same messages, like,
Right.
from the media, and then having the parents and guardians and other like godparents or aunts and uncles or older cousins, like, are they going to still not be getting that kind of information, you know, from them? Like, I just don't want this next generation to get their sex education from a YouTube video, or from somebody online, or a movie, or their favorite rapper, or their favorite singer, or whomever. So that's what really drives me.
Right. And that is so great. And I again, I have to say, I love what you are doing. I have three children, but my daughter, she is about to be 15, and I have always created that open space, that open door, because I want her to know. I even let her know, like, if she's curious about what she's hearing at school and they say some explicit words and she's like, mommy, what does that mean? I let her know, because she's at that age where there are things she needs to know about herself and about what others are saying, the inappropriate things, the appropriate things, because I want her to grow up with those values, with that confidence in herself to know when I don't know, I can ask questions. So I love that. Now, what would you say to someone who, as a parent or guardian or grandmother, grandfather, etc., what advice would you say if they're like, I don't know how to talk to my child, whether they're 6 years old, 13 years old, 17, like what advice would you tell them to start that conversation?
One thing I would say is, and I've mentioned this a few times in my videos, is that the foundation that's important is to have that open communication, kind of like what you talked about, where you have conversations with her, but I'm sure that it wasn't just out of the blue. You're like, oh, like, have you heard about this song, or what are kids saying at school? It's based on, you have a relationship with, so that's what I recommend, is like having that relationship where they know that they can trust you with their feelings and their thoughts, that you're not going to invalidate their thoughts because, oh, you're young to understand this. It's like, that's going to shut them down. And so knowing that they can trust you with their feelings and their thoughts, knowing that they are safe with you, that if they tell you that something's going on, and this especially can apply if, God forbid, is bothering them, whether it's a family member or someone at school, whoever that is, if they feel they can come to you and that you're not going to dismiss them, like feeling safe, that's important. And also knowing that you love them. And I know a lot of times, like, well, of course they know that we love them. Like, we make sure that they have a roof over their heads. They make sure that they have clothes, that they're taken care of, that if they have a need, we meet it, all of those things. But in addition to those basic needs, it's also, and it's something that honestly that God's really built within us, is that desire to be accepted, to be loved, to be seen. And our parents, that's the first people that we really get that kind of relationship from. And so if that's not something that our kids and the kids in our lives can feel, and it's not to say that we won't make mistakes or that we won't say the wrong thing, but if at the end of the day they feel like, even to disapprove of a decision that they make, big or small, that you love them, that you're not going to exile them, that you're not going to kick them out and all of that, then that is a very good foundation to be built, to be able to have open conversations about anything. Whether it's just about them going to school, like how's school, how are things with your best friend, oh, like I see that you're into this show, what's it about, like different things, so that they know that you want to engage with them and get to know them, while at the same time being protective and keeping them safe, also knowing that, hey, you want a relationship with them, so that way they don't see it as, oh, they're just checking in on me to make sure I'm not doing anything bad, but that they want to make sure that I'm safe. They want to see how I'm doing. So to me, I feel like that's a good foundation to build. And it's something that takes time and patience, because a lot of times, kids are going to be guarded. If they really see that you do care and you are consistent, then slowly but surely they'll start to open up about things that you talk about. And every kid is different. There's some kids that just, have that close connection with their parents. But, for other kids, it may be a little different. But having, thinking in the long game, building, having those building blocks of open communication and those things I just mentioned could definitely increase the likelihood that the conversations about sexual health, about music lyrics that they're listening to, or about something that they may have seen, or whatever the case is, that will increase the likelihood that conversation will maybe be less awkward, or over time become less awkward. But yeah, so that.
And I absolutely, I know I keep repeating myself, but I'm just like, yes, this is so, so needed. So, so needed. Now, you gave your life to Christ at 14 and then rededicated at 24. So this nonprofit, this call is extremely huge. because of who's involved. Our Father is involved, and He's leading you and directing you every step of the way. So now, because time is winding down, please let us know how we can get in contact with you, whether it be for resources or for more information. If parents want to reach out and say, Demetreanna, help me, like, what would you say?
So first, I have Facebook and Instagram. If you just type "Can We Talk," the handle "Can We Talk Nonprofit," because there was someone else already "Can We Talk," so it's "Can We Talk Nonprofit" on Instagram, and on Facebook, if you just look "Can We Talk," the same name, same handle. That's where I have a lot of like my videos, posts, and things like that about topics. But of course, if you want to contact me directly, you can send me a DM through those platforms. Or if you're more someone that likes to do email, then you can email me at cantalknonprofit@gmail.com.
Absolutely. And my final question for you today is, after your nonprofit, what other doors is God going to open for you? Like, what else is He revealing in this season?
Um, Interestingly, I started working with an organization because when I was posting videos, one of my friends, she works with a human trafficking organization, and they do work with women that have already transitioned out of the life, and they want to do a sexual health education curriculum. And so I've been volunteering my time meeting with them. I actually have a meeting with them tomorrow to talk more about my findings. And I don't know, I really believe this is a space that, at least based on what they talked about, that this is a space where women and victims in general, not just women, but men, but in this case, women, they're going through the healing of their trauma. But then now it's like, okay, well, how would they view their sexuality in a healthy, empowering way, especially if they want to be in a healthy relationship and get married someday? So that's something that I've been discussing with the director. And so I don't know, I
Wow.
really feel like there may be some opportunities for me to provide sexual health education for this population. I don't know what that'll look like. It's all kind of daunting, but it's something that I think God has been priming me with over the past few years, because I've been helping my friends with their nonprofit work in this case. And so I've been learning a little by little with that. So kind of seeing how that will merge with my purpose. That's something that I think will also come down the line as well.
And that is excellent. I personally think that this is going to touch a lot of people, and I'm excited for the doors that God is opening for you. And I think that virgins are cool. I'm not a virgin, unfortunately. I'm a mom with kids. So it's too late for me to be a virgin. But but virgins are cool. Like, I have a friend, and she's 34, and she just married and saved herself, and she knew, like, I wanted to save myself, my body, for marriage. And that was so encouraging to me. And I wish that more of our youth would take stands like that. Like, no, I want to save myself. She never had to worry about sexually transmitted diseases. She never had to worry about just anything off. She never had to worry about awakening love too fast, like the Bible talks about. Like, she was just solid and being able to fully just give herself to her husband when she was ready. So I love this. And I know that this is going to touch people, and it may even reach the ears of virgins, or those who want to rededicate their life to Christ like you did, which is very easy. All you're saying is a prayer sincerely from your heart, acknowledging that Jesus is Lord, and that you believe that He died on the cross, and that you will be saved. And if you have fell into sexual sin, He is a God that forgives. Like, He's like, you know what? Ask for forgiveness. I still have you covered. You can be a second virgin by being celibate. So I absolutely love, and I thank you so much for stopping by to give us your time today.
you so much for having me. It was great to share my thoughts, all hearing you, and it's to get formal validation that what I'm doing is, helpful. Although God gets all, I know He's the glory of everything. It's just good to get that confirmation about, going in the right direction. So thank you so much for having me.
You're very welcome, and thank you for the tip about Zoom. Well, you have yourself an amazing day, Demetreanna.